China is angrily rejecting a New York Times report on the controversial detention centres in the western region of Xinjiang. More than 400 pages of leaked Communist Party documents detail the mass incarceration of mostly Muslim Uyghurs and other minorities. And they link President Xi Jinping to the campaign through speeches he made in 2014, calling for absolutely no mercy in the crackdown.
About New York Times so-called report, I can categorically deny that such a document is a sheer, pure fabrication. And this is not the first time New York Times made up a story. I think the story was made up with ulterior motives, and it's not worth of making any substantial comment.
Well, Austin Ramsey is one of the New York Times correspondents who reported this story, and he joins us now from Hong Kong. Good to have you with us.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Now, in your article, you write about the 400-plus pages of internal Chinese documents that reveal how China organised a crackdown on Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang, linked directly to Xi Jinping. But China's ambassador to the UK is denying any human rights violations, saying this. I want to bring up that sound.
I would say there's no so-called labour camps, as you describe. There's what we call vocational education and training centers. They are there for the prevention of a terrorist. What we are doing, what we call it preventive measures, it's nothing to do with eradication of ethnic groups, religious. You know, in Xinjiang, religious freedom is fully respected.
So what's your reaction to the ambassador denying any human rights violations and calling these labour camps vocational educational training centres designed to prevent terrorism?
Well, I think it follows a pattern that we saw in the documents themselves, where the public description of the camps is very different from how it's discussed internally among Chinese officials. And so the camps are described as these job training programs that help people find better work, improve their lives. But in the documents themselves, they show how the party acknowledges that the harm that is done to families that are separated, the difficulty children face when their parents have been taken away. And the language also uses phrases like punishment, which you won't hear Chinese officials use in public.
Yeah, and the ambassador also says this has nothing to do with ethnic cleansing. He says religious freedom is fully respected in Xinjiang. What's your response to that claim?
I've talked to a lot of exiled Uyghurs, exiled Kazakhs, people who have been in the camps, and they describe a very different picture. They say that these camps are meant to eradicate their ethnic identity, their language, their religion, and to turn them into loyal Chinese subjects.
And the Xinjiang regional government of China says your article was completely fabricated by hostile forces at home and abroad, and called it total nonsense and a pack of lies with sinister motives. What do you say to that sort of attack?
I say that's to be expected, but our goal was to tell the story as completely and accurately as we possibly could, and I think we did that.
And can you explain to our viewers why China targets Muslim Uyghurs in particular? I mean, other minority groups as well, but why the Uyghurs?
I think the reason that China targets the Uyghurs and other Turkic ethnic groups is because their language is different, their religion is different. They look outside of China for ties to Central Asia, and they don't see Beijing as the source or the direction where they should send their allegiance. And I think that that's something that worries the Communist Party very deeply, and something that they want to change.
And of course, as we mentioned, your article, you use these 403 pages, I believe it is, of these leaked documents. Quite a brave act for the person who leaked these documents, because there is an incredible risk that they will be discovered. Talk to us about the sort of risk that would have been taken to do this and why they would have done this.
Yes, it was a great risk on the part of the person who did this. This person is a member of the Chinese political establishment who wanted the leadership to be held accountable for the decisions that were made in Xinjiang.